Good morning. Hi, I'm Arun and I have my friend here, Natasha. And we are going to go on a walk on a footpath in Bengaluru. And what we're going to do today is called a walkable session. We're going to have a walking conversation. As you know, I'm very passionate about Bangalore's footpaths. And I'm going to show you a nice walkable footpath in Bengaluru today.
That's nice.
Do you like walking?
I love walking.
Have you found good footpaths?
No.
Okay, so after this talk, you can tell me how the footpath is.
Okay.
And the reason I'm talking to Natasha, she's a social psychologist and she is very proficient in a subject I know nothing about, which is mental health. In fact, she's organizing India's first mental health festival coming up in a month or so. Mental health festival. What is there to celebrate?
Well, I think the festival is self-explanatory. So a festival is a celebration, and it's a celebration of the life of the mind. And that's why a mental health festival is not a mental disorders festival, right? It's not about people who are suffering with mental difficulties or illnesses only.
What happens at the festival?
Well, at the festival, we talk about everything related to your mind, your body, and how to be well and how to thrive and flourish, not just not be unhealthy.
So like literature festival, that kind of thing. It's like
exactly. It's a lot of different things about the subject of mental well-being. Coming from different angles. So we have a neuroscience angle, which is looking at the science of the brain. We have a clinical angle, which is looking at therapeutics and therapy, counseling, sort of all of that aspect. And then we have the community angle, which is arts and community building, music, and all of those other things that make us happy, including walking on pavements, by the way.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, mental health, when I was growing up, that didn't have a good connotation. Mental hospital, that person is mental was a pejorative. What is this thing about wellness, mental health? What is is it a medical thing? Confuses me because I've not engaged with the subject much.
Yeah, so if you think of it, Arun, it's a little bit exactly like the kind of trajectory that physical health has seen now, right? At one point in time, you were only trying to not be sick and you didn't really think about being your optimum. How can you feel as good as you can feel, right? But now you can see that in the world of physical health and fitness, people are trying very, very hard, to like walk and take care of themselves, and you're finding multiple ways to be physically healthy. So it's the same with your mind. I mean, we are born with these bodies and these minds which have evolved in nature, and they are meant to be, they're designed to be healthy and flourishing, but in nature. And now what we have is...
The mind is designed to be flourishing.
Yeah, the mind is designed to flourish. The mind is this incredible source of, creativity and imagination and analysis and all kinds of things. But what we should know is very much like the body, and the way the modern life and our modern diets and lifestyles and a lot of it interferes with how healthy our body can be. It's the same with the mind. Because I think modern life and its stresses and the design of society also kind of affects the way we're able to thrive.
I read somewhere that the mind is designed to be happy. Is that correct?
That's
we are wired to be...
we are wired, and actually I'm very excited because at our festival, our keynote speaker is Dr. Richie Davidson. And the talk he's going to give is called Born to Flourish. And the whole science that he's going to talk about is exactly how we can really kind of design and almost program our minds to be healthy again, because that's what the...
Healthy again, so it's like reset from...
yeah. And his history has been, he's the person who has studied like the brains of Tibetan monks and people who do like deep meditation. So he really understood the full capacities of the brain, and he's going to come and talk to us about it at Manotsava.
How cool. Mental health somehow has got a lot of publicity when some famous people talk about their own struggles. And what matters to me is obviously Deepika Padukone is one, but Michael Phelps, Simone Biles. I'm a sports lover, and when I see someone who's at the top of their game in a world sport, so they're obviously physically very strong, they're obviously mentally strong too, because you cannot compete and win. And yet we see such stories. So can you explain that? It doesn't something about it doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think that even many other celebrities in the West as well, right? Like huge superstars have talked about mental health challenges. So, I mean, the way to think about it, Arun, is that, there are many facets that lead to a kind of a mental health episode or difficulties with your mental well-being, right? One is there is some sort of genetic predisposition that some people have, right? Which means that you may be predisposed genetically to depression, to some extent anxiety is hereditary in families as well, bipolar disorder. So these are definitely, they have genetic markers. But but that's not it. It's not just that you have a predisposition and you will definitely become anxious or depressed. It means that you have a tendency to, and it is in your mind. So your brain, there is some sort of a dysfunction and a chemical imbalance that happens in your brain, and it is brought on by stress or your life circumstances, and so many things trigger it. So that's one important thing to know, because a lot of people spend a lot of time struggling. Thinking that this is something they can control, that they are not, working hard enough on their mental health. That's one big aspect. There is, of course, something like temperament, right? So again, you have temperament, which is kind of loosely called your personality. But who are you? Are you a sensitive person? Are you an introvert? So these things, when you take a certain type of brain chemical sort of imbalance and you take a person's temperament, their nature, and then you mix it with an overwhelming lifestyle, right? So, because one thing is true, that when you are a high-performing athlete, you don't have enough time to decompress. So you may be traveling, you may be away from your family. So all these things come together. So you're very right. It's interesting when we think of people who have it all and these superstars, and so many of them, actually perhaps more than actually talk about it, struggle with some degree of...
I'm guessing people who don't have it all, that is a cause of depression for them. They want it.
Yeah, that's also true.
What to do? All my questions about sports, but the famous people in our world are film stars and sports stars, right?
Yeah.
And so I was just looking it up, and I did not know that Virat Kohli had come out publicly about it. In an interview with Danish Seth, two of my favorite people who both spoke about mental health, and they were talking about it, and so obviously you knew it was genuine.
Interestingly though, Arun, I think there's a corollary here, where sport, comedy, laughter is also a way out of mental ill health. So I'm talking about the lay person. Now, of course, Virat is definitely very fit and spends a lot of time outdoors. But one of the things which is, I had said this earlier, one of the things we're doing right now is a very mentally well-being promoting activity. Walking in the sunlight.
In nature.
In nature. So there has been tons and tons of research that has shown huge effect sizes with just access to nature, walkability, because your body gets moving. So sometimes I think...
Namaskara.
one of the things that COVID did, right, locked everyone in. So your body movement reduced so much. Your access to sunlight, in fact, and sunlight doesn't mean...
Namaskara. Thank you.
It's
so sunlight, outdoors, nature, and talking to people is what I've heard.
Oh yeah. So sociability and social interactions are definitely, a huge part of building a sense of wholeness, a sense of community, and all of these things come together.
I'm going to interrupt you. Do you know where we are in Bangalore? This is Cantonment. Okay, this is the heart of the army, for those of you who don't know. And if you haven't seen this road before, it's called St. John's Church. In the heart of Bangalore's Cantonment. Pretty decent footpath, right?
Very good, yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a Bangalore quiz question.
Okay.
When we reach the end of the road and take a right turn, we're going to reach a place which is Virat's favorite place by his own admission. And if I put myself in Virat's mind, and if he is going through issues, the one thing that makes him happy is what he finds at the end of this road. Can you guess what I'm talking about?
Is it like a cake shop or something?
You're right, it's a bakery. One of Bangalore's most famous bakery. Which is the famous bakery out here that you know?
I think it's Tom's Bakery.
Tom's Bakery.
Yeah.
And he has come out publicly and said the chicken puff of Tom's Bakery make me happy. In fact, Anushka has said that. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, it's a nice story, but I've seen videos. So
Tom's Bakery?
Wow, Tom's Bakery is stock market gone up through the roof.
Yeah.
Tom's Bakeries came to famous that Anushka, whenever they come to RCB matches, buys him chicken puffs, and that makes him happy.
Can I tell you? This
So, is food a good way to, food that you like, is a good way to...
For sure, food. But I think so at Manotsava, we are doing a panel on the gut microbiome. So, of course, food, culturally is such a huge part of making us feel warm and loved and all of that.
And food that we like.
Food that we like. But there is something going on in your bacteria as well. So, there is this long...
Even food that I like is a chemical thing, obviously. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
or a memory of, I want that taste.
Yeah. So, we have a whole piece we're doing on do you know what the gut microbiome is?
As I said, I'm a simpleton in these matters. I don't know anything about it.
But these panels are for you, Arun. With the gut microbiome, I don't know if you read this book. It was called Gut.
I don't know it enough even to say two lines about it.
Yeah.
I know that there is something about it, that gut health is important, but...
Yes. So it's basically your gut is like another brain in your body. So you have this brain and then you have this brain and they both talk to each other.
Wait, this is interesting.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll cross the road and continue on the other side.
Okay.
Let's do that. Said the gut is like a brain. Please explain.
Okay, so we have two brains. We have one brain here and we have one brain here. And your gut has a lot of bacteria which is making sense of what's going on in your body. So
Okay.
it has these bacteria, which some of it you inherit at birth, and then you also, you can develop the bacteria that's in your gut. You can feed it good food and keep it healthy. Or if you eat very unhealthy food, that bacteria starts to deteriorate. And depending on how your gut bacteria is, it can even affect your mental health. Like you can be having difficulties with your thinking or your moods, and you might think that this has nothing to do with my digestion, but actually it does have something to do with how healthy your gut microbiome is. But of course, I do want to add that there's, like with all science, more is the amount that's known is much less than the amount that's unknown.
Correct.
So, there's a lot more research required. But this is the exact stuff that we're going to talk about at Manotsava, which is what practices can general public adopt and what should you know as a general good to know sort of piece of information. And then, of course, there's a lot of science that needs to be researched even further.
Okay. Interesting. In fact, we're just talking about Virat and Danish. Danish is the other guy who obviously is most people's favorite Bangalorean. And he also talked about his mental health issues, and he uses words well. So I was seeing an interview with him where he said, I feel tingling in my soles of my feet. I feel a burning sensation in my body. I feel a cloud of fog is around my brain. I don't know what to do. And he's a guy who's making us laugh. And in his personal life, he's struggling physically. And he said something nice. He said, if your hand is broken, you don't call the mechanic from around the corner. So if your mind is broken, you go to a specialist. Don't listen to other people who say do this and do that. So what do you do if you think you are unable, if you have a condition of some sort you can't handle? What should people do?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that you said, Arun, is very interesting in this thing by Danish, which is that a lot of our challenges also show up in our body. And last year at Manotsava, Dr. Shyam Bhatt had done this beautiful panel.
Shyam Bhatt, he's also a full Bangalorean boy.
He talked about the somatization of mental health. Right? So he talked about the fact that mental difficulties often present in your body. Right? Your feet tingle, your hand tingles, you feel heavy. All of these things happen, and they are not just physical symptoms. I mean, they're combined. It's a connection between how your body is feeling, how your mind is feeling. So that is definitely true, and I think that's something important to remember. The second important thing is that, like all these examples you were giving, right, Danish and many others, it's really important to know that even if we're having a mental health episode or if we have any sort of mental, illness, you can still flourish and thrive and be very good at many things in the world, and that we constantly see. It's not that, these people cannot do anything.
I see, okay.
In fact, you will most often find that very creative people, very successful people, incredible people also at the same time struggle with some sort of mental health difficulties. And so we have to stop kind of pathologizing this behavior and saying that, if you have a mental health difficulty, then that means, that's all you are.
That's all.
Which is really not
true. And it
true.
affects your whatever else you do.
Because we have, like, one of the conversations I'm really personally very excited with Dr. Sanjeev Jain at this year's conference, at this year's festival, is on, we're calling that panel Madness. Okay, because there are people who have written books about having severe mental disorders, which is bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and these individuals are graduates of incredible academic programs. They have written books, they're very successful, and yet they say that we live with bipolarity, we live with schizophrenia. So I think there's something very powerful in this idea that you are not the whole of any small challenge that you have. And you asked about what can one do, right? I mean, when one feels,
if you feel like, as Danish says, you have a tingling sensation which you cannot explain, but physically or medically you seem fine, what do you do? I know some people who have these sensations which they cannot explain, and they may not know that it's due to their mental well-being or lack of it. So what should they do?
So if you're not feeling well, or if you're just not feeling like yourself, I think the first thing you should do is you should perhaps go seek a good therapist. And there is a difference between a therapist and a psychiatrist.
What's the difference?
So
I don't know actually.
So a psychiatrist is actually a doctor, like an MD, and they are the ones who prescribe you your medication. So your different kinds of medications for the brain. And your therapist, of course, is somebody who refers you to the psychiatrist or the other way around. The therapist is a counselor who engages in many different life practices, which is largely talk therapy, but also give you different ways of then working on other aspects of your life. So the combination is very important, you know. So medication, for instance, is really valuable. And many patients and many people will say that it's a lifesaver. You know, they could not have just gotten over themselves. You know, if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling all kinds of, if you're feeling depressed, you can't just, you know, wake up and decide that
you can't snap out of it.
You can't snap out of it.
Like other maybe addictions where
You can't.
Oh, I see.
So
okay.
you need some kind of medication, you need some assistance. But in addition to that, what is always recommended is obviously therapy, which helps you look at your life and, you know, your thought patterns and so on and so forth. So it's a combination.
How do I know whether I go to a therapist or a psychiatrist, and how do I find one? Especially if I'm, say, a young person who's not so clued into this. What do you find in your experience with people?
Yeah, so I mean, people are Googling, of course.
Chat GPT. Get a personal therapist, GPT. In fact, I was watching Sam Altman speak last week on the dangers of AI, and he singled this one thing out. That is his concern is that we are using the device in my hand and sharing all our personal life, and we might be getting wrong advice.
Yeah, that's 100%.
And it's free. And it's instant.
Oh, absolutely.
No appointment required.
Yeah, and it hallucinates. I mean, we all know this about AI and ChatGPT. So, in fact, a survey that we conducted at the foundation, we supported Youth Ki Awaaz, which is an organization, and they conducted this survey on how young people in India are using AI. And, you know, the findings are quite startling in the sense that almost 50-60% of young people have had some or the other kind of emotional conversation with AI. They use it as a confidant. They tell it its secrets.
50 to 60%.
Yeah, definitely. Have had some or the other experience of using this. They use it late into the night. They practice difficult conversations. You know, they confide in AI. And you know, some of this is okay in the sense that
I should have prepared for this interview with the AI.
We should have.